Hello everyone, my name is Ashutosh Kulkarni. I've secured 44th rank in the Civil Service Examination 2019 and I'm here to talk about history optional as a subject and how to study history optional. I chose history optional because there has to be a general liking for it. So if I have to deal with the general principles of how to choose an optional, the first thing is there should be an inclination towards the subject. You should have a general liking, because in optional they expect post graduation level study from you, so you should have a general inclination. Secondly, efficient study. How much is the input and how much is the output that I'm getting? So in that case, if the syllabus is big, are you able to study the syllabus properly and get the required amount of marks is also an important thing to consider. Third thing to consider is the coaching. Is a proper coaching available? Are there proper test series available for it? And if they are available, then that should be a good thing for taking up that optional. So overall, there are 2-3 main points that you have to consider while finding out an optional. I found history to be very good for me. The pros of history optional is that even though the syllabus is big, it is in chronological order. So the very advantage of studying history is that everything is in chronological order. So your brain finds it very easy to remember stuff, because you know that everything is going to be fed to you in a chronology. If you compare it with any other optional, it becomes very difficult to remember many stuffs, because there are diverse set of things. In history, everything is in chronology, so it becomes easy to remember. Despite having a lot of fact base in the question papers, there is very little surprises that you can get. History is a very predictable optional. It will never give you less marks. It will give you average marks or more than average marks, but not less marks. So when you take up history optional, the biggest advantage is that you will let it be anything, but you will always reach average marks. That is for sure. The cons of history optional is, of course, there is too much fact base we have to remember, so it's a game of memory. The another con is that the syllabus is big. So if you pick up the syllabus of history optional, you will realize that there is too many things mentioned in it. But despite too many things mentioned in it, since everything is specifically mentioned, those things are always going to be asked. In other optionals, the syllabus is so vague and so broad that many a times within that there is a lot of scope for the examiner to ask a lot of questions. So despite syllabus in history being big, I'll still suggest that it is a very predictable optional. If you look at the history paper as such, there are 2 modules, there are 2 papers, paper 1, paper 2. Each paper will have 2 modules. So in paper 1 we have ancient and medieval India, and in second paper we have modern and world history. So you will have these 4 modules to study. Everything is in chronological order, so you will find it easy to study. My first suggestion would be, have one module strong in one paper. So if you are solving paper 1, either ancient or medieval should be strong. If you are solving paper 2, then either modern or world history, either of these 2 should be strong. So have one module per paper to be strong, so that you can attempt 3 questions for that and the 2 questions for the weaker module. So have one module whose study is quite good. The second suggestion for history that I will say is that the sources are quite many, but ensure that you have 2 to 3 sources maximum for one module. So I'll now start with the sources that we have for history. Let's start with ancient. For ancient, the old NCERT of R.S. Sharma is the basis of all study for all modules, of course, but the old NCERTs are basic. So R.S. Sharma old NCERT, you can read BA IGNOU for ancient India. That will also give you a lot of fact base. And of course, Upinder Singh is there is no exception for that book. Upinder Singh has to be read. It's a big book, but it will ensure that a lot of things are clarified and you will get good clarity on ancient India. For medieval, Satish Chandra's old NCERT, there are 2. One is for Delhi Sultanate and one is for Mughal times. Those 2 are important. Similarly, BA IGNOU notes for the Delhi Sultanate and Mughal India, they are important. And the third volume of J.L. Mehta's book, because it deals with culture and other miscellaneous aspects. For modern India, again Bipin Chandra's NCERT for modern India, the old one, which is the basic one for it. Shekhar Bandyopadhyay's From Plassey to Partition, that book is very good for historiographic views, so views of various historians. That is something very important in that. You can get it from that book. And for certain basic facts, Grover and Grover. These 3 books are quite good. For world history, Ranjan Chakravarti's book is very good to establish a base for various events that happened in world history. As well as Norman and Love is very good for First World War and post those events till Cold War phase. So these 2 books are quite good for world history. Apart from this, there are many established notes of various classes. You can pick up one source of notes and you can use them for value addition. But again, those notes are for value addition. They are not a substitute for basic sources. So after you read your basic sources, only then the standard notes of various classes are to be used for value addition. Now, notes preparation. In history, there is no alternative for notes preparation. You have to prepare your own notes, because you read, say, let's say ancient. You will find one good thing in IGNOU, you will find one good thing in Upinder Singh. Now, if you just underline it there and there itself before the exam, you will find it very, very difficult to read it, because there is no coherence. You will read one thing here, one thing there, your brain will not remember it. So, compiling all these things together and making it into one note is very, very important. So, note making is extremely critical. Notes of history are going to be big, I understand, but that is the laborious task that you should be doing. Studying of history will require about 6 to 8 months compulsory. So, ensure that you give that much of time and prepare notes. While you prepare notes, what are the things to be understood? First, there should be 10:1 ratio. So, if a book is of 100 pages, 10 pages should be the notes, not more than that. So, while reading Upinder Singh, you should not end up creating another Upinder Singh for yourself. That is stupidity. So, you should have compressed notes, crisp notes, make them in bullet points. Secondly, for ancient and medieval times, sources become very, very important. So, archaeology, epigraphy, numismatics, literature, these are very, very important sources, because in the exam, if you write generic statements, you are not going to get marks. You have to write specific things with quoting various sources. So, they are very, very important. The second thing to be kept in mind while preparing notes is ensure you have views of various historians embedded in your notes, and ensure that you revise those notes, and when the question comes in the exam, you will find that those sources and those views of historians will automatically come into your answer, because they are there in your notes. So, sources and views of historians become very, very critical for ancient and medieval notes. For modern and world, sources are not important, because nobody is going to ask you to prove that civil disobedience movement happened. It is a done and dusted conclusion that it did happen. What is expected in modern and world history is about the analysis of those events. Why did it happen? Why did it end? Who are the people involved? Are there any other aspects to that entire event? That is the analytical mindset that is required for modern and world. So, while preparing notes for modern and world history, ensure that the chronology of events is done very perfect, and the views of various historians about what things happened. Many quotes are available for modern and world of contemporary people. So, if you are talking of Gandhiji's Satyagraha, Gandhiji's own writings in his paper Young India and Hind Swaraj become very, very important sources. So, that was an example. So, contemporary people's quotes become very, very important. Like, for example, if there is a question asked on Government of India Act 1935. Now, I know that Jawaharlal Nehru himself said that this Government of India Act 1935 is it's like a car with all brakes and no engine. If you start your answer with this quote, the examiner knows that you know the subject, you know what you are writing. So, many times these quotes become very good things to put up in the introduction or conclusion of your answer. So, quotes, views of historians and chronology of events, analysis of those events becomes very important while preparing those notes. So, ensure your notes have these stuff. If we go to the answer writing, I suggest that in the answer writing stuff, when your questions come 20 marks, 15 marks, 10 markers, ensure that time planning is very, very important, because again in the optional paper you have very, very less time. So, it was my general strategy that 10 marker question should be solved in 7 minutes, 15 marker question in 12 minutes and 20 marker question in 15 minutes. That is the rough time frame in which you should solve the question, and you will realize that all these it will all add up to 180 minutes. So, 10 marker question 7 minutes, 15 marker question 10 minutes and 20 marker question 15 minutes. Second thing, whenever the question comes up, ensure that you have some classic introduction and conclusion, because that is the highlight of your answer. So, good quote, some basic definition, and in the conclusion also ensure that you connect it to something wide. So, if you are talking of, say, women's reform movement in 19th century, this is modern India, about how sati and widow remarriage and all these things are happening. If in the conclusion you are able to write that it is these reform movements in 19th century that created the base for active participation of women in the freedom struggle in 20th century, and also for the various reforms that Indian constitution had in 1947. Now I am connecting that issue to something large. So, ensure that your conclusions are very, very it will tell the examiner that this person does not study history in silos, but he studies it in broad concept. If the answer comes about Akbar as a nation builder, I can always say in the conclusion that India as a nation has many builders. If Akbar is a nation builder, then so is Ashoka. Hence, Akbar is a nation builder, but one of the nation builders. Now that's a very good conclusion. You are just giving a perspective to that examiner. So ensure that you develop good perspective about what history is. Ensure that you don't study ancient, medieval, modern and world in silos. That is stupidity. If you are able to interconnect it, the examiner will always like it. Third thing while answer writing, facts are very, very important. If you see a building, there is a foundation. Without a foundation, a building cannot stand. So the building of history cannot stand without facts. So let us be very, very clear that facts are very, very critical. Let me give you an example. Most people complain that history gives average marks because you write average stuff in the exam. For example, if I claim that Ashoka ran a welfare state, now that's an average statement. Everybody knows it. There is nothing wrong in it, so examiner won't cut marks. But then he will not give you more marks also. The moment I write that the Girnar rock edict of Ashoka, where he says, Sabba Paja Mama Putte, all people are my children, and hence Ashoka ran a welfare state. Now you are being very, very specific. So examiner knows that you have studied stuff, you know the facts, and now there is no scope left for the examiner to cut your marks. So ensure that you are very specific in what you are writing. It becomes very, very important. So fact base is very important while you are writing anything in the answers. Many people go on writing theoretical stuff in the examination and they just expand which is not asked. So relevance of the question is very important. If they are asking you about certain stuff, note the keywords. If they are asking for critical analysis, ensure that you give analysis from both the sides. These are some basic tips for answer writing. While preparing, ensure it's a very standard instruction from my side that before you go to the prelims, your optional should be complete. If the worst case may be, keep some GS stuff pending, if at all the time may be. Of course, everything should be complete before prelims, but in a very practical world, if at all something remains, keep it for GS, not for optional, because optional is a detailed study. After prelims, there is so much pressure on you for prelims, mains, for the main stuff, GS bhi likhna hai, essay bhi likhna hai, everything, that your brain will not accept any new information from optional because it is very, very deep. So ensure that you finish your optional prior to the prelims, so that after optional, you will only look at your notes, you will look at your notes, revise, and you will be very, very comfortable in that. So these are some basic tips for optional that I will always give. History optional is challenging because there are too much of facts, you have to remember a lot of stuff. So the last and the most important suggestion, do not sit for a paper without revision. There is no shortcut for history optional. After prelims, there has to be at least 3 revisions for history optional. Most people keep on reading till 1 month prior to the mains, and thus they don't, at the end of the day, they don't remember anything. If you have to remember so many facts, you have to read it also. So after prelims, ensure that your notes are so crisp that you will require 2 days for one module. So my personal revision schedule was 8 days. 2 days for one module, ancient, medieval, modern world. Those were that was the crispness of my notes, that in 2 days I have to revise, and in 8 entire days, my entire optional syllabus was revised. And one revision per month. You get about 3.5 months for between prelims and mains. So 8 days per month and your optional syllabus is revised, and then you can indulge yourself in answer writing and revision for the GS. And the last thing that I will focus on is the map, because that's a very, very critical thing in the first part of the paper 1. There are about 200 to 250 sites, important ones. What I had done was, I bought a map of India without state boundaries, a blank map, and I prepared section-wise maps. So one for Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic, Chalcolithic, Megalithic, Harappa, Vedic age, Buddhist sites, port cities, important towns, and some miscellaneous sites. So these are various kinds of classifications that generally come up in the question paper. So I prepared maps for each of them. What I did was, I just mapped 1, 2, 3, 4 on the map. I did not write the name on the map, because your brain has to be trained to guess that site. So I wrote the number on the map, and on the flip side of it, I wrote 1, 2, 3, 4 and the names in front of it. It becomes easy for revision. I'll look at the map, I'll look at one, I'll try to remember that, okay, this that site, and then just flip it and confirm it. So that is the way of revision. And after that map, just staple 2-3 pages where you will write 30 word description of that site, because that is also needed in the question paper. So if I say I have a map for Paleolithic sites, I'll have a map, I'll have some 30-40 sites marked on it, numbers. On the flip side of the map, I will have the names of the sites along with the numbers, and then I have 2-3 papers attached to it where I have 30-word description for each site. And even that stuff has to be revised 3-4 times because you have to remember it at the last moment which site is what. So prepare such maps in sections and ensure that you do it quite before the prelims, because after the prelims you will not have time. So that is the basic study used for history optional. Study well. It's a 6 to 8 months time that you have to deliberately give for history optional, including reading of the basic sources and notes preparation. And after prelims, I told you 3 times revision at least, and at least 3 times full question paper answer writing. That is the basic key for scoring 300+ marks in history optional. That's all. Thank you very much.